Hello everyone, and I'm Jack. Welcome to the first episode of 2022, episode 41 of the Save File podcast. Today we're chatting about digital and cloud-based gaming, along with some mammoth news that Microsoft is set to acquire Activision Blizzard for close to 100 billion Australian dollars. That was not on my 2022 bingo card. Joining me to discuss this today is Josh, Anf and Charbel. How you doing, gents?
Pretty good.
What's up?
So there's only one place to start, and it's big news that broke this morning, and it hasn't even been 24 hours, and my brain still hurts.
That's right, we're getting brand new faceplates for the PS5.
Finally.
Starting with black. And
Oh
no,
God, get out of here.
So, let's start it off with the big news, as Jack said. Microsoft have, I think it's official now, they've purchased Activision Blizzard.
They're basically purchased, and it won't go over till next year, which is sort of funny because it's still going to be the biggest news of 2022 in January for gaming. But yeah, Microsoft's buying Activision Blizzard.
So what I saw was just under $70 billion US.
Correct.
I believe was the price.
I wanted to convert it to Australian because I thought it'd be interesting, and the fact it's basically like 95, 96.
Yep.
I was like, holy hell, that's a lot of money.
Oh my god.
So, firstly, let's discuss some of the IPs they've acquired. By buying Activision Blizzard, I think the most ironic thing is Crash and Spyro are now owned by Microsoft.
Which were originally PlayStation exclusives, for those not old enough to know or don't remember.
As is Call of Duty, now owned by Microsoft. World of Warcraft, Overwatch, and even Candy Crush. Some of the big names.
Along with what they already have, which includes Minecraft, Gears, fucking Halo, Elder Scrolls,
Psychonauts,
Rareware.
What do they not have? They basically don't have Ubisoft, IPs, Sony,
and Nintendo.
And EA. And that's it.
I was talking to Dan earlier, and I said the thing is, right, I don't know what Sony are currently doing, because it's crazy, because I'm seeing PlayStation Studios, certain ones at least, closing down or downsizing. And I said to Dan, I'm like, Sony closed down Japan Studio, who worked on games like Ape Escape and Bloodborne. Great fucking games. And then they reshuffled everyone in the team Asobi. Meanwhile, Microsoft is out here buying Bethesda, buying fucking Activision Blizzard. Sony, I think, need to do something.
Sony being left behind right now.
Yeah, so, Sony's kind of being crushed.
The PlayStation fan in me is like, oh no, this sucks. But the Game Pass subscriber in me is like, this is fucking great.
So I was going to ask what our initial reactions were. Because, my brain still hurts comprehending it. Because it's just such big news. But then, I'm sort of mixed on whether or not this is good or bad.
It's good for Microsoft.
I was never
No, as a gamer, are you a fan?
I was never a fan of the mass acquisitions that's been happening as of recently.
Yeah, that's sort of my fear.
When it comes to, consolidation of, I guess, certain IPs into, one mass conglomerate, I don't like that sort of future. Even though I know it's inevitable. At this point, it's kind of inevitable, but I still don't like it.
Breaking up of monopolies happens. They usually get so big that the government just goes, okay, split.
See, I still wonder if
Sorry, excuse me.
US's fair trading might intervene and go, you know what, it's probably too much power. No.
Yeah, that's
I don't think they will, but
there's a reason why they can't acquire studios like Nintendo or Square or Sega.
I feel like if there was a time for them to intervene, it would be now. And if they're going to intervene, you're right. If Microsoft went out and bought Nintendo, we'd probably be having a different conversation. But
yeah, no, there would be a huge bloody backlash from bigger organizations than us.
Yeah, here's the thing: they can't because there's that international treaty or some shit like that prevents them from doing shit. Yeah. I don't know what it's called, but there's something that prevents Western studios from acquiring Japanese studios. I just forgot what it was called.
Oh, that's the first I'm hearing about that. But, look, I think the biggest thing is, right, it looks to me like Microsoft are really gearing up to take on just about anyone. They
already can.
I think they got pissed off that we said they had no games.
Pretty much. Dan made a comment earlier. He goes, Microsoft heard everyone saying, "Oh, PlayStation has Bloodborne," and they were like, they sat up in their chair and went, "Okay, now we're playing." And honestly, I really want to know what's next. Like, if you're PlayStation, what's your first move? Like, who do you go to? Because you need big things to combat this.
My brain goes to Ubisoft, but I don't know how positive of an acquisition Ubisoft is. In saying that, Activision Blizzard right now doesn't feel very positive. But they'll make money, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, let's be real, the biggest winner in this acquisition is Bobby Kotick, because, and I quote, the CEO of Microsoft, right? The top of Microsoft said he's grateful for Bobby Kotick being open to change. That doesn't sound like he's leaving anytime soon.
No, that doesn't sound like
it. Doesn't sound like it. And that's what a lot of people's first reaction was on the surface. But if you did a bit of digging, Wall Street Journal was basically saying, once the ink is dry on this deal, he's probably gone. And that's probably how this sort of happened. Kotick is allowed to leave in a nice way, and they're not just kicking him out. And it's probably a little bit of part of how the deal went down.
I think that's what bothers me most, is it looks like... I really hope I'm wrong about this, but it looks like after everything that's happened, he might just ride off into the fucking sunset like a hero and retire with his billions.
I'm not surprised.
No, not surprised either.
But
it is disappointing to see.
It is, but also you have to mention that he can still retire from Activision Blizzard. Those court cases still need to happen.
Yeah.
So
I will say though, I've seen a few people on Twitter saying positive things, saying hopefully this means Microsoft will turn Activision Blizzard around.
Well, that'll happen. To be honest, that'll happen when Kotick's gone.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to know any of this until, the future. And the biggest problem with Activision was business-wise, they were starting to go downhill because they kind of gave up on everything that was not Warzone. Like, every studio, everyone, Beanox, Vicarious Visions, Toys for Bob, all of these studios put out great games. And then Activision were like, welcome to Warzone, here's what you're working on. So... I hope, for the love of God, at least Microsoft says, okay, you're done in the salt mines, go make us a new Tony Hawk game. Or a new Crash or Spyro or something.
I am hoping a lot of these...
They're going to dump everything into WoW.
Oh, no.
That would be a bad idea, but I do hope that a lot of the studios who only have made Call of Duty get to make something else for their own fucking sanity. But also just like... Hey, maybe Call of Duty doesn't need to come out every year. Maybe.
No, it's coming out every year. I don't see that.
I said maybe.
They just need to switch up the series. Make Call of Duty about cavemen.
Call of Duty Primal.
Yeah, Call of Duty Primal.
Call of Duty with slingshots and spears.
I was going to say, with 360 no-scoping people with wooden bows.
Listen, guys, I want David versus Goliath as the final confrontation.
Call of Unga
Call of Unga
Call of the Flintstones.
Call of Grunt.
Now, obviously, we've talked about the acquisition itself, but let's talk. I want to go in a bit more about public response to it. So, I think all of us at one point or another in our lives fanboyed over certain consoles or certain developers and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm unfortunately, I have to say, the salt that is now coming out of the Xbox caves from their fans is ridiculous.
And Sony as well.
Yeah, Sony is. I saw a Sony fanboy tweet that if Microsoft do not release Crash and Spyro on PlayStation anymore, then they will instigate a riot.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck
sorry,
with that.
I don't care how unhappy you are. Instigating a riot because your favorite fucking Cartoon Bandicoot won't be on your PlayStation anymore. That's a bit much. Bit too far.
Salt is real.
Where are they going to get the riot squad from? Like,
No,
just
they
gonna form these
posted
people?
in forums and they were proposing to other fans that they should riot with them.
Calm down.
Police show up with pepper spray, and that's all they need.
Come on, like, if you own a PlayStation, you're telling me you don't own a computer? Like,
Not even
that's a
that,
good
man.
point.
Just to
No, not-
write
not
about
even.
that is not on.
No, you absolutely can own a console and not own a computer. I did that for years. And like, the reality is, there are people that unfortunately will only be able to afford one console
Yeah.
for financial
yeah,
reasons.
that's
And
fine. Yeah,
That's perfectly fine. And I get it if you're pissed, but it feels like this is why you really should like consider both sides in this case. Like
100%.
if you have zero interest in PlayStation's current IPs, like you don't give a fuck about Uncharted or Ghost of Tsushima or anything like that, the Xbox is a better place to play games in some ways. There's a whole bunch of games now that have like just random frame boosts and shit like that on Xbox. Like, I think it's like 150 games now or something like that are enhanced for Series X. And if you really don't care about, you know, the IPs and the games PlayStation has to offer, the Xbox does look like an attractive solution.
It is like it is funny how it's come full circle now, and we have like the complaints that the PlayStation doesn't have any games and the Xbox has too many.
To be honest, I think the big mistake PlayStation did was they announced that Horizon and God of War would be on PS4 as well. And like, obviously the PS4 came out in 2013. Its hardware isn't exactly the hottest shit out right now. But when arguably the two biggest games you announced when you did the reveal, you know, that stole the show, and you're just like, oh yeah, they'll be on PS4 as well, don't worry. I can understand why most people don't want to rush out and buy a PS5. And because the PS5 is already so hard to get, you kind of need extra motivation to go get it if you're just like a random casual gamer.
yeah, I see.
I've used my PS5 for more PS4 games in the last year than I have PS5 games.
Yeah.
By not by a couple of games, by a significant margin.
Yeah, I'm about to play a bit of devil's advocate here, but
Go ahead.
you know, like people who support, you know, the exclusivity and like, you know, consoles and all that. This is pretty much the reality of it at this point. Like, there's gonna be games you can't play just because, you know, a massive company just owns that property at this point.
It's probably Microsoft at this point, because it's hard to name things they don't own other than Sony.
Like, we've grown so comfortable with, you know, with Microsoft being this, you know, oh, just play it on PC sort of thing, and if you want to play some good exclusives, go play like Nintendo or Sony.
I mean, look, the reality
That's
is...
what it feels like we're at.
At this point, not anymore.
I want to
Xbox
know
has come to play.
I want to know what Xbox's end goal is, because if it's
Buy
sell
everything.
a billion... If someone came up to you today and said, I want Xbox to sell 1 million Series X's, then I get it if you're targeting a casual market, but I feel like the most hardcore of gamers who have the money would dump it into a gaming computer as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, it's super tough. I never understood the whole let's play it on PC.
I think it's they want to become a service rather than a platform. And so by just having all of the games themselves and owning them, they'll get money every time you purchase one of their games, regardless of if it's on Series X or PC. They just know they need to be in that console market as well as on the PC. I think they worked out that console wasn't the only way they could win.
Well, the consoles are made at a loss usually, so I think that it's actually better for them to have this huge amount of exclusive properties and just put them on the PC.
Well, I mean, the thing was, like I said...
No, you want to put them on the Xbox as well, so you can make the money back on that.
If you're one of those people that can't, like, you only buy one console, then, yeah, the Xbox is looking a lot better now, especially after that Activision Blizzard acquisition.
That's massive.
But...
Yeah.
Although, in saying that, most of the stuff Activision had was on console as well. On
Yeah, but
PS4.
I mean, to me, it's
PS5.
like if I'm PlayStation and I'm sitting in my big tower and I'm like, oh my god, what's the next step? I honestly think they have to start playing the game and they have to start buying studios. Who they buy, I don't.
Do they
care,
have the
as long
money?
as-
I don't know. Do they even have the money? Microsoft
I mean,
is so
Sony's
big.
not run out of like a fucking garage or something. Sony can afford.
No, they're not running out of a garage, but like Sony has like a 2-story, really nice house, while Microsoft have the mansion.
Not that wide, actually. Like, Sony has put a lot of effort into growing, and they have been growing. And part of that is because they've kind of shifted around their priorities. Like, a few years back, Sony were pumping a lot of money into, say, like the Sony line of phones and things like that. Those have kind of been given the back seat to PlayStation. And more importantly, Sony's TVs and hi-fi as well. So, Sony do have the money to play around and make some acquisitions. But
It sort of is a little bit of a 2-story house mansion thing. I just looked up. Revenue of Microsoft last year, 43.3 billion.
yeah,
Revenue of Sony last year, 2.3.
yeah.
They're not competitive on the money scale.
Yeah, but at the same time,
I know they're still a massive company, but in terms of companies, it's almost like Microsoft is the AAA and Sony is the AA.
no, but you don't have to buy the biggest company out there. Because think of it this way, right?
No, I know.
Do you know what the highest praise Microsoft has gotten in the last, like, year was? In terms of their games? Psychonauts. It was a Game of the Year contender. And Double Fine is not a huge studio.
No, Double
It's not-
Fine is not a huge studio.
It's
at
not
all.
about buying the biggest name out there.
But you can
It's
get
literally about-
praise. You still need to sell.
Bro, don't worry, Psychonauts sold plenty.
All I'm saying is you need to make sure it sells.
Like,
You can have. There's probably games that are. There are games that are better than AAA companies that don't. Than AAA games that don't sell.
yeah, but...
Because they needed the
I mean,
exposure.
Yeah, but I mean, having a company like Sony who own a platform behind you is huge. Look at some of the games that have been really predominantly featured. Think of a game like Sifu, which is coming out soon. I'm seeing it everywhere. And to be fair, it looks fantastic. I would have bought it even if it was just a random third-party release. But it seems like there's a lot of love behind it. Like, Sony are really pushing it. I don't even know why. I don't even know if they're publishing it. Or if they have some kind of deal or something, but I keep seeing it in PlayStation ads. And it's like, to have that behind you, that would definitely push your game. Even if you're not first party. I think it's a big thing.
Maybe they are buying it because it is being released on Microsoft and PlayStation, but maybe there's a deal. Because yeah, it looks like Sony have definitely been heavy on the marketing for it.
Okay, should we move on?
Yeah.
No, I was sort of going to ask though.
Oh, okay.
Do we think Microsoft acquiring them is good? Like how? Like do you think on one hand like can they fix everything that's going on with Activision Blizzard? Does that actually make you more excited for some of the games Blizzard might end up doing?
Look, they can fix it. Whether they will fix it is tough to say, because I believe the solution is just to purge pretty much all the executives at Activision Blizzard. And
Because personally, it makes me,
that's my point.
And I'm more hopeful on Diablo now. I'm more hopeful in Overwatch 2 succeeding because I feel like Microsoft goes and acquires that thing, probably has some understanding of where they are at with those, and goes, okay, cool. Like, because basically Activision Blizzard needed Overwatch 2 and Diablo to hit. Microsoft doesn't need them to hit, but they'd love for them, and they don't need to push them out. Whereas Activision Blizzard was going to need to push them out.
Maybe they can run them into the ground and Blizzard will be finally dead.
Maybe that's the plan, you don't know.
Maybe that's the plan. Maybe they just did it out of spite.
That was actually one of my favourite things. Do you remember Phil Spencer saying, we're going to need to reevaluate our relationship with Activision Blizzard? Buying them's one way to reevaluate your relationship. I'm your boss.
Yeah, that definitely
I
changes
own
the
you.
dynamic a little bit.
Yeah, that
Also-
would bring a new chip to the bargaining table.
Also, just yesterday, right? At least for us being in Australia, yesterday I saw a headline. Phil Spencer said he would welcome Sony installing backwards compatibility, I guess, and doing that for their consoles.
That would
And
be
someone
pretty great.
Someone said, "Can you imagine the smirk he had saying that, knowing that the Activision Blizzard acquisition was less than 24 hours away?
It was gonna be an hour.
How much of a smart ass smirk he would have had saying that?
In fairness, Sony
Oh.
probably knew too.
Oh yeah.
There's no way Sony didn't know.
Honestly, I hope this turns out well. I've got a PC, so obviously we all have PCs. So
I wanted to turn out
how
well.
these turn out.
I never want these things to fail, but I also just want it to be for the betterment of gaming, and that's where I think that's where I'm half on it being good, of maybe they can turn Blizzard around, because Blizzard have some really cool IPs I'm interested in.
Yeah.
But I'm also that much power to one studio. I know we sort of mentioned that, but I'm just,
It's terrifying, to be honest.
It's a bit too much.
Even me looking up the money in revenue, I knew Microsoft had a lot more, but then just looking at it then was nuts. Microsoft's on a different playing field. It's nuts.
Well, Bobby
I don't know.
Kotick is
Sony
now
needs
popping
to-
champagne.
Yep. I think Sony just needs to go back to the PS2 roots. Just start pushing out some experimental cool stuff.
How about you push out Infamous?
No. I'm glad you brought that up, Josh. But it's a completely different industry now. The thing is, on the PS2, there were a lot more medium-sized studios that were willing to just make random shit. And because the PS2 had such a huge user base, because of how, let's be real, it sold. Everyone I knew had a PS2. You were able to take a risk and still have it pay off.
Back then, you were weird if you had an Xbox.
Yeah, if you
I
were an
was that
Xbox
weird
kid, you
guy.
were a bit of an outcast.
Listen,
But,
hey.
But the difference is now, especially if it starts to look like studios are kind of taking sides, then you might want to be a bit more careful about if you're going to release something exclusively on a console.
Yeah, I wonder how much it changes Sony's tactics on bringing more stuff to PC. Yeah.
Do you think we'll go back to the old ways of, back? You do remember the old days with Sony, Nintendo, and Sega, going at it.
Nah, I reckon this is going to be more like fucking Console Wars Part 2. Remember those mid 2000s to late 2000s console wars?
Yeah.
It was like being in a gang. You were either Bloods or Crips. You were Team Sony or Team Microsoft. You had to be one of those. But
Scrat.
yeah. But no, look. Honestly, it's hard to tell whether this will be good for gaming. We're just gonna have to see down the line where it goes. Moving on from that.
Sorry.
So, no,
Speaking on Sony,
Yes.
did you hear about that rumors of the PSN store having PS3 games on them?
Yeah, that was weird. People were posting screenshots about it.
Yeah.
man, they can bring in Infamous. Come on, do it. Do it, you cowards.
You know
If
how
you- if they-
I would be so happy if they just threw up the entire PS3 store on the PS5 again.
Oh, dude.
What if they
There are
did? What
games-
if even they just did classics?
I would buy them.
Yeah.
If they release the PS3 Ratchet and Clank games as a collection, bro, I'd play the shit out of that.
Yeah, they just do some classics and do that.
I'm just hoping it's not some monkey paw thing that it will come to PS5, but you have to pay for PS Plus or some shit like that.
PS Plus Ultra.
What if it's cloud gaming?
Oh, I'm gonna fucking lose my
God.
shit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, speaking of cloud gaming,
This
Anf,
is
you
what I
want
was
to
trying
go
to get
ahead?
us to.
That's why I did it. That was my transition. So,
Okay, so
let me introduce it, Amp. I'll let you. I need to get all the details out, and then you can rant.
Okay.
Kingdom Hearts is releasing the trilogy of games onto the Switch in February,
I know.
which
Okay.
is
Really?
great for everyone who's never played the series or those who want to play it on the go.
But
Problem They're cloud versions.
I was going to say, you say trilogy, but there's like 13 games in that collection.
Technically a trilogy, yes.
The numbered ones.
But, what are the problems with cloud gaming, Ant? Would you like to indulge us a little bit?
I'm glad you asked, Jack.
Alright, I'm going to go away for 20 minutes. Tell me when he's done.
Yeah, I'll be with you.
So, problem with cloud gaming, right? Like, you gotta pay for the game, right? You gotta buy the game. But technically, the only way you can run it is having a stable internet. So that's the whole basics, right? Costs $90 to play this game in, I think, AUD? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's only playable with good internet, so yeah. So sorry, Australians, you're not getting that. Game's gonna stutter every 2 seconds. And because it's a cloud game, you don't technically own it. It will actually stop working one day. That's a major problem. And because of like the lack of stableness, the game can force you out if your internet is dog shit. And you will legit lose progress. Like the game, like KH didn't have autosave up until like 0.2 and 3. So, yeah, have fun with that.
And for those who haven't played on the Nintendo Switch and haven't paid attention to any of my ranting on the Nintendo Switch, its ability to get Wi-Fi is trash.
Yeah.
Cloud-based gaming in general is terrible.
But the Switch is just not. It's not ready for cloud. It's not. The Switch is not ready for that.
What I don't get is the whole premise of the Switch, the whole pitch of it, is like, hey, you can take it out of the dock and you can fucking go to the park and play it and shit. Like, if you can play it anywhere, why would you require us to have an internet connection? Like imagine you're in a park.
You can play anywhere as long as you're at home.
Yeah, but it's like you might be on the way to work on the train or something. You're like, you know what? Let me do some Kingdom Hearts stuff. Let me just fucking hotspot my fucking phone now and connect my Switch on the internet. Like,
you run out of your 60 gigabytes.
I mean, the main problem with that is you load up a Kingdom Hearts game and you get to your stop and you've only been through half a cutscene.
Bro, imagine
sorry, Anf, but it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I'll admit that it's got some long cutscenes.
I hope no one brings up Metal Gear Solid 4.
I hope no one brings up Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh, fucking cloud-based JRPGs.
But,
yeah. Oh, God.
Could you imagine? Okay, I gotta spit you guys a tale. In Xenoblade Chronicles 2, there is literally an in-game warning telling you that you need to grab some popcorn because there's going to be about a 2-hour cutscene right now.
What? 2 hours?
It's about an hour and 40 minutes, I believe.
It's pretty long. It's pretty fucking long.
The game, in-game warns you, hey, if you need to go to the toilet, go now.
Can you at least pause it?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can pause it. But could you imagine being cloud-based gaming and being like on the 1 hour 39 minute mark?
Oh no!
Yeah,
you lose connection and you have to go back.
Yeah, it blacks out. Yeah, have fun. Like, no, this is... I can't support cloud gaming at all. It's not a business module I ever want to see in the future. Even though I know it's probably going to happen, I hate to see it. Like, if this ever becomes the future, I will quit gaming. I have enough physicals and enough digitals to set me for life.
That's why DRM-free, like, stores like Humble Bundle and that are so useful.
But what I don't get...
I want to own the file. Give it to me.
But what I don't understand is, right... Google Stadia, which was entirely cloud-based.
Yes.
Let's be honest, it was objectively very bad. Like, all jokes aside, it was objectively not successful.
I think it had the right idea and right goal.
What I don't get
is... let's be honest, that thing looked at the Vita for tips.
But let's be honest, right? We looked at it and we're like, okay, cloud-based gaming doesn't work. And then we went back into cloud-based gaming. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know what they're trying to achieve here. It's no one likes the idea of cloud-based gaming.
Honestly,
I mean, accountants love the idea of cloud-based gaming. Oh, what? We can support this game and then pull the plug when we don't want to make more money from it?
Like, look, the problem with cloud-based gaming isn't cloud-based gaming itself. It's that game preservation is completely garbage. Because, like...
It's non-existent.
With a movie, right? If a movie's on Netflix and I buy a new TV, I don't have to keep my old TV around to watch Netflix. Whereas with a game console, right? if I have a PS5 and, for argument's sake, if the PS6 comes out and then Sony say, oh, it's not backwards compatible, to play all your PS5 games, you still need to keep the PS5. And that might be okay for, like, one console generation to keep, like, the one before there. But if you're someone who's been gaming for, like, decades now, then trying to keep, like, your PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 plugged in all together just so you can play old games is a bit much to ask.
Trust me, as a guy who has like 15 consoles, it's very difficult.
Yeah, like, and if you're someone who loves, like, old school gaming, or like you're just into gaming history and you want to play like some N64 or SNES, good fucking luck.
Unless you
'Cause it's
literally...
barely there.
Yeah, unless you have it and you've kept it in pristine condition, good luck.
And guess where you have to play some of these old games? Cloud-based.
Cloud.
Like, it's
Just fucking pirate them.
I was talking
Fucking-
to a mate of mine who was he was seriously considering getting a PS3, one of the original launch models that had the backwards compatibility, and they're like, for a one in decent working condition, they go up to like $1,200-$1,400. And I'm sorry, I can't do it. Like, I can't justify doing that to go back and play like the original PS2 disc of San Andreas. You know what I mean? It's such a shame. And like, okay, some games have aged terribly, but there are some games where you might be nostalgic for them and you just want to go back and play them. And this is the only reason I completely understand emulation. Because for some reason games don't get preserved. Like, the fact that there are already games that like we've completely lost to time is sad.
Yeah, there's plenty that are just gone.
Yeah,
There's
we
also-
we didn't rip them.
Also, back in the PS2 days, but even before then, there were games that did not come to Australia at all, but they would go to America.
And Europe.
yeah, there were, especially if you're into like JRPGs and things like that didn't take off here until much later, then good fucking luck. And then even when you get your hands on those, some of them don't have English translations, and it's the reason why like video game communities are so active in things like, you know, fan translations and shit like that. Just for the sake of keeping this stuff alive so that one day down the line you're able to experience this game that, you know, didn't have an English translation.
Yeah.
Honestly. And like, look, the cloud has one viable use to me that I've seen so far, and that's cloud game saves.
Yes.
Which
Yes, I agree with
fucking
cloud
love.
game saving.
Yeah.
Like, I used to think when I was a kid, right, memory cards were cool, because if I was going to a mate's place and I needed them to be, like, I was like, oh, let's play this game or whatever, I'd take my memory card and we'd have my save file. That was great. But we obviously moved into...
Can I put in a premise here? As long as you can do both.
Yes, as long as
Okay,
you can
yeah,
do
yeah.
both.
But, like, as time went on, whatever, we moved away from, like, memory cards and things like that. But, like, recently, I had a friend that was staying at his missus' place, and he was able to, like, get his save file from his PC for Forza and just play it on her Xbox. And, like, that is much better. Or in my case of what happened today, if a game, say...
I knew this was coming.
Oh, you poor thing.
You know what, I'll tell the story just so there's no confusion. I was playing Sunset Overdrive, and I actually tweeted about this game. I didn't own an Xbox One, so finally I get a chance to play it, start it, and I was enjoying the shit out of it, and randomly I got booted back to the main menu, and a message popped up, and it said, there are background processes running, we can't run the game. And normally it did that if I tried to launch the game with Tren Micro installed.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, you know, my antivirus popped up. So close my antivirus, get back to the game. And I notice there's no continue. It just says new game. And I'm like, nah. And I'm like, hey, boys, what do you make of this? We checked everywhere on my computer. That save is gone. It's gone. It no longer exists. All my progress, I was about a third of the way through the game, but I was doing all the side quests and shit. Gone. Now, I rebought it on Steam because they have cloud saves. And if something fucks up locally, like in my PC, I can download the game again and I can just download the save with it. I was spewing. Honestly.
How much did it cost you to get it again?
I think it was like
more than Game Pass.
13. I originally got it on Game Pass, so I didn't like buy the game outright on Microsoft and then get fucked. But
Right.
honestly, I never used to value cloud saves so much until now. Because
Yeah, they're great for... That's why I think we should be doing way more cross-progression, cross-save on... Like, I think that's amazing to be able to do, and the few games that do it. I think it's such a clever thing. If you want to go play something on your Switch, then you want to switch to your PC when you're at home, or you just want to do something casual on the couch. I think it's great.
The one thing I want them to get rid of in terms of cloud saves is the need for you to subscribe to their service to do so.
Yeah, I feel like cloud saves should just be inherent to a system.
yeah, I
Yeah.
did look. So Xbox does do cloud saves, and I googled like the absolute shit out of it, trying to figure out how to do it. But I found a few things. I'm not sure what's true, so I'm not saying this is fact or anything. The first link I saw said you need Game Pass Ultimate to do that, but I think that might just be someone getting cloud saves and cloud gaming mixed up. Because obviously, if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you can stream games with cloud gaming. But I don't know if that includes cloud saves. I hope that's not Ultimate exclusive. But the other links were saying like, oh, you have to like manually set it up. I went through the entire Xbox app on PC. I looked at every option. Nothing. There's no way to look at it. But even today, in another case, I don't know, today everything went wrong for me. But I tried to play FIFA on my PlayStation, and it just said, cannot start the app or game. My disc was in. It was updated. There was nothing wrong. Every other game works fine, but for FIFA, I had to delete it and reinstall it. But luckily, obviously, your saves get synced on PlayStation. And I believe on Xbox 2, there's a way to set that up. So, yeah, I'd love to know why it just wasn't on the Xbox app on PC. But that is something that they definitely need to add.
What I think this sort of tells us is just the need for trying to be able to preserve games and saves and not have everything online, like as what seems to be the trend of we're going to take everything online and digital, and if you don't, when we decide that you can't have it anymore, you don't get to have it.
Yeah, and that discussion can probably wait till our third story.
Correct. They are linked, and I think it's an interesting place we're going, and we'll bring up that third story.
Yep.
So I think the story's not that big in terms of just... It's not this massive company, AAA company that this is happening with, but I think it's interesting as a contextual to what's happening in gaming. So what happened is Jolt, which is a hosting platform that is also sort of trying to move towards being a social platform, removed not safe for work games on their site, citing that they have a younger fan base of around 13 to 16, and they want to try and avoid some of that content. Now, the problem includes when you decide that you're going to do this very suddenly and not warn people. So a lot of people who were getting money off these games suddenly aren't, very, very quickly, within days. And games that were, not even really sexualized, just, hey, there's this same-sex couple who there's a little bit of abuse in their relationship, and it's sort of teaching people what's not okay, gets taken off. Yeah. And then you have this other thing of, as I was saying, preservation of games and ownership of games, which is very important. The games they're going to be removed, if you own them, you can't play them in a year.
Yeah, you have a year to download and play them, get them off your bucket list, and then after that, you're fucked. And this is a huge fucking problem. And it's normally a problem, like when I think of something similar to this, I think of like licensed games, like Scott Pilgrim, where the IP ran out and then that got pulled from stores, and that sucks. Yeah. But if you're making these games, and you have zero like prior knowledge of this shit happening, and out of nowhere the platform you publish games on turns around and says, "All right, we're just not accepting this shit anymore."
Yeah,
That's
fuck
fucking
you.
terrifying.
Mm.
Like, okay,
Also,
let's be real. There
consumer,
are
it's
other
terrible
platforms
too.
on PC, but it does suck to see this.
Not for those, like, that kind of content, though, especially. It just sucks because they don't have a lot of places.
Mhm.
And, like, come on. We need to be a bit more mature here. You can't just ban that content off if you had it for ages. Look what happened to Tumblr.
I mean, I think a little.
Yeah.
So I saw a few people saying that, hey, because that's worked well for everyone, and they cited Tumblr. But also, it's just like the reason for doing it is they're catering towards a younger audience.
Yeah,
I think
I mean,
a younger
well,
audience.
I mean,
you don't think a younger
could-
audience maybe it's actually sort of helpful to have some of that stuff in there so they can learn about it and not just have it thrown upon them
I mean,
randomly in real life.
couldn't they have done the Newgrounds thing where they separated the adult content from the?
Yeah, but that's what my first thought would have been. It's like, why didn't you just separate those categories?
I mean, I know
You
the difference
separate
from like.
them. You have like some age verification. I know age verification is the easiest thing to get around
Like,
when it doesn't ask for any identification, really, other than you lying to it.
I
Yeah,
need-
but then you've
I-
lied to it. Like,
yeah, but then
you've
you
lied
can
to it,
pretend
yeah.
you're
yeah,
doing
no, but like, I mean, come on. How many people had Facebook before they were 14 or 13 or whatever it
Yep,
was?
this is my biggest thing is, like, even to these companies, like, the reason why the age verification just teaches kids to minus 18 from the current year is just because, alright, you've lied to it. Cool, that's your problem now. You actively
But-
sort this out. We told you that you should
Yeah,
be in here.
I
You
understand
lied
that.
to
I
it.
understand that as a point of difference, but
You also have to consider that some
Don't
kids are
stop
actually scared of that warning. Like,
Yeah, no,
okay,
there are plenty of kids who see that warning and go, oh shit, and then stop.
better not let my parents see this.
Yeah, exactly.
let me
Can I,
go
like
on
the
the
family
can I
internet.
just
computer.
say though, do they think that kids that are 13 to 16 years old only have access to Game Jolt? Like,
Yeah, they think Game Jolt is going to be their access point.
yeah, I mean, let's be fucking real here. There's a lot of stuff on the internet. And, I mean, if they're not going to be on Game Jolt, they'll just be somewhere else.
They're gonna be watching that one Anka video.
I think it's just like, yeah, I don't agree with how they went about that, and it's just, but I think it highlighted such a bigger problem of like, hey, we need more places to showcase some of these games that are actually trying to do some important stuff. Like, same-sex relationships shouldn't just be taken off just because they're talking about sex or because someone has a certain sexual orientation. That's a bit dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's inappropriate to me because I believe that you don't have a valid enough excuse to do that because you're fucking over so many people in the
But also,
Like, it's
also
not just like,
part of it was
oh, we're
they
getting
did,
rid of perverts.
they did apologize and say that some of their stuff didn't meet their own filters and didn't go exactly as they planned. But I'm like, yeah, but if you announced this unexpectedly, that means you could have waited even longer to have done
Yeah,
it.
or why didn't you just
sort
warn
it.
people?
I think that
Why
was
do
the
you
thing.
have to do this, like, now? Couldn't
Yeah.
you have warned them? So they could find alternate revenue streams and point their fans that follow them through Game Jolt to, like, to wherever they're going to be now?
They
it's
could
just-
have, but they didn't.
No, exactly.
Like,
It's like,
it's all it
no,
is.
hold on. You're kicking a huge amount of people off your platform. You're fucking over your consumers who bought those things, which means they've now paid money for shit. You're going to go, yeah, but I'm going to come into your house and take it back.
And can I just say, alright, like, objectively, all jokes aside, Gaming Jolt is not the biggest, like, online store for games.
I'll be honest, before this story, I hadn't heard of them.
I mean, I knew of them, but it's just like, why would you do anything to weaken your market share?
Yeah.
Like, I've never, I personally do not know anyone whose main source for games is Game Jolt. And this is not gonna
Used to
do
be
them
back
any
in the
favors.
day. It was bigger.
It was, but like, I mean, would you really, like, if you're not the number one like storefront for gaming on PC. Why would you do anything to put you further behind?
I think that they were doing this move to put them ahead. I think they thought NSFW games must be seen as this degenerate thing, and we can't have this mainstream appeal while we have it on our service.
I think it's partly because they're trying to move towards a social platform. I think they're sort of trying to get an app like Discord, and so they probably don't want open discussion of that sort of stuff, and they want to look as a friendly sort of place. But like, man, if you think kids,
come on, look at Steam,
if you think
man.
kids aren't going to talk
Steam.
about that, like, god
Also,
damn.
It just doesn't help. Like, what did they achieve other than pissing a huge amount of people off and like cutting the amount of like content that they had?
Well, they got some publicity for it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Despite studying journalism, I'm not of the belief that all,
Publicity is good publicity?
yeah.
No, I don't believe in that shit at all.
whatsoever.
That is jack shit. What
Guys,
being called
guys,
pedophile, that's good publicity.
Guys, Activision have been in the news every single week, every one of our podcasts for a year. It hasn't helped them.
Yeah.
I know about they've never been better.
Yeah, I know about GameJot because I uploaded my game on there, or my group's game, a long time ago, back when I was a game design student, and it kicked off a little bit. But it's not many people knew about GameJot. I barely knew about GameJot up until that year, and if you asked anybody else, they'd probably go, "What's that?" Like, huh? But it was a good platform to like put out whatever you need to put out.
Yeah, I don't know. It just I feel bad for the developers
Yeah.
because you must feel so hostile.
I mean, if you're actively publishing your game on GameJolt, and that's like your first option, then I mean, there's obviously reasons you're doing that, because knowing where to publish your game is actually important.
I was going to mention too, that's part of, from the research I did, GameJolt's meant to be like a showcase of indies, so smaller companies, probably games have been made by a single person or a tiny
a small
team,
group.
And so it's not like they're Blizzard or Ubisoft where it's like, oh, okay, we'll go find somewhere else. They don't have anywhere else. And they sort of said, oh yeah, but we'll help you get some Steam keys and whatever, but man, being stuck in Steam's ecosystem, you're bottom of the barrel of thousands and thousands of games, like, it probably helps them being on a smaller platform, so I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it was good look.
Also, we can go into this topic now of it's terrible the idea of a company saying, yeah, that thing that you bought with money, and then you can't have that anymore.
It's bad. It makes me like. There's a point of you could say that my argument back with that is, well, eventually my insert console will die, and therefore you won't have access to that game, which is true in one sense, but
yeah, but that's not the same thing.
Yeah, but this was my thought against it. But it makes you realise, and it's part of the reason I know quite a few of you guys as well. Digital consoles not my thing. I want to buy stuff so I actually have it. So then, if I want to play the game, I physically have it. I don't need to go and download it somewhere and have XYZ on it. But is this a problem that we're having where you can't access a game because of you need it to be always online? Or you need to do it. You have to do an update, or you have to be connected.
I mean, look at Jump Force. I mean, look at Jump Force. It's a licensed game, right?
Yeah.
That game is going to be off sale in about sometime in February, and you only have that. You only have that amount of time to buy it.
Yeah,
it's just gonna go. That's the reality of things. It's one of the problems that lie when it comes to like licensed games and stuff, they like the publishers or whatever are going to lose that license eventually, and they can't do shit.
Well, the idea was back in the days that when you licensed that product was a product.
Yeah.
You know, like when Funko Pop makes a fucking Funko Pop, they don't lose the license and they break into your house and take it.
Hmm.
And for Jack's analogy, my analogy would be, Jack, would it be okay if I murdered someone because they were going to die eventually?
No.
I mean, like, why should anyone be upset? They were going to die in like 100 years anyway.
No, I understand. It was just, I had that thought of, I suppose that happens, but the argument back against that is I can go buy another console.
I'm just sorry.
If I lose access to my game that I own,
There's something I can
simply
do about
because someone decided we're taking that off now, that feels pretty scummy.
Okay, imagine this. Imagine if Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 didn't work anymore no matter what you did because they lost the license.
Well, that's what happened with Pro Skater 5.
Yeah, exactly right.
It was...
But I'm talking about a good game.
I'm sorry, I'm just imagining what you said with, like, people built, like, Funko Pops coming in and taking a shit because the IP ran out.
Fucking Tony Hawk loses rights to himself.
Sorry there, bro. We can't make Mega Man and Funko Pops anymore. We're going to have to take that from you.
Yeah, you just imagine, I know there are people that have like Funko Pop pyramids and they just have to take the middle one, which just happens to be Mega Man. Like,
And it
nope.
just it collapses in on itself.
So,
No, but you know what I mean.
That's
It's
symbolic in a way. I think it is.
Of the value of Funko Pops, and yes. I believe that it's just like, I don't know, licensed products back in the day, it was just like, yeah, we licensed to make this a product, and we understand that even after, you can't manufacture any more of them, but the ones that exist aren't going to disappear.
Not to sound like an old fart, but I miss the days when you chucked in a game and you played it and it worked.
Dude, today, literally 3 games have completely fucked me. I've already spoken about Sunset Overdrive and FIFA. But I was never a PC gamer as a child. I never had a gaming PC or anything like that.
And from today's experience, Sharp's isn't going to be one for much longer.
And so here's the thing. On Game Pass, a while back, they announced that if you had Game Pass, you also had access to EA Play, which is EA subscription service. Or at least
Right.
the basic version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And recently I've been wanting to play a racing game, something with a lot of customization. I'm like, you know what, I'll give Need for Speed Heat a chance because it's on Game Pass. Hit download and I'm sitting around and I'm like, oh man, this is going to be great. Message pops up. Hey, we see you don't have the EA launcher, the new EA app. Download it. Oh fuck, alright.
Me, no.
Download
You don't get to play the game then.
So anyway, I download it, I click install Need for Speed again. And it downloads and downloads and downloads. And it says, hold up. 0%. And I'm like, what do you mean 0%? You've been downloading for an hour. And I'm like, oh man, what the hell's going on? So it turns out there was a Microsoft account I made way back a few years before I had a PC, just so I could play Minecraft on PlayStation. And EA decided to link to that account somehow. So I had to tell it, no, connect to my current Microsoft account. And it went, oh, okay. Clicked resume. Downloading. The number's going up this time. Downloading. Finished. Alright. Hit play. Message pops up. Yeah, your computer's not connected to the internet. Try again later when you connect. What the fuck you been? I'm on Discord with the boys. I'm downloading games. I think I have an internet connection. And I'm talking with Dan. And I'm just like, Dan, do you have any idea what could do this? He's like, nah, man. I start Googling it, and for some reason, it's kind of a problem with a few other games, but I'm not seeing anyone specifically talk about Need for Speed Heat. And I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck's going on? And then later on, the boy, some of the others hopped on, and they're like, oh, it's because you still have Origin installed on your PC, which I keep because there are games on Origin that aren't on the EA app. I'm like, oh fuck, alright then. Delete Origin. Click again. Nah, you're not connected to the internet. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I start scouring the fucking EA servers, everything. I'm talking with everyone in the Discord. We formed a crack fucking FBI team to fucking sort this out. None of us knew a solution. till now, the game's installed on my computer and it won't let me play. I've tried downloading it through the Xbox Game Pass app. I've tried downloading it through the EA launcher. I've tried launching it through both of them. I've tried everything possible and it just won't work.
Back in my day, you put a disc in the thingamajig and it
fucking
turned on.
worked! Like,
I do miss those days. And not having an update.
Oh, like, it burns me so much. Like, you could spend fucking $3,500-4,000 on a PC like I did. And then the game just goes, no.
No,
And it doesn't
don't
work. It doesn't fucking work. And the
So
worst
we've gone from DOS, where the game worked if you channeled a genie,
Yeah.
to the modern era, where everything works when you put the game in, and then we're going back to DOS for some reason.
Yeah,
Have you tried, like, I don't know, turning off Trend Micro or something?
I have. I've done everything. I literally, like everything. Every single thing on my computer, I'm like, stop this, stop this, stop this. Play Need for Speed. Hit it, and a little bar shows up, like, and it says loading. And it says, your computer's not connected to the internet. Try again later. And the worst thing is, on like the EA app, it says I've played 14 minutes of it. That is a fucking lie. I have not seen the title screen. They're even lying about how much I've played this game.
That's because they got to get the playtime numbers up there. That's what I keep getting annoyed at. They keep making bigger and bigger games just so they can up their playtime.
I swear to God, there's some asshole exec looking at my account and he's like, wow, he's launched the game 32 times today. He must
Really
be really enjoying it.
He must be a big fan.
It's just like, God damn it. Like, I remember when I used to have only a console, and I had people tell me, oh dude, PC's so great. You have like 35 storefronts you can buy games from. This is the fucking other side of the coin. You download it because you're like, oh, it's on Game Pass. But it's not on Game Pass. It's on something else. It's on the fucking EA app that it makes you download.
Charbel's going to be like DRM free hype beast in like 6 months, I guarantee it.
I fucking hate this.
Bro, I'm gonna kind of laugh if you try again, and then it won't let you in. You quit the game, and it says, how are you enjoying Need for Speed?
Oh, I asked for a
No,
review.
you know what the worst thing... No. You know what the worst thing is? You know what happened in Sunset Overdrive? I shit you not. Half an hour before it deleted my save, it asked me for a review, and I said no.
They knew.
No.
They knew.
I swear to God. Half an hour before, it said... Normally, right, I normally click, like, just remind me later. I don't give a fuck. But I clicked no. And then half an hour later, it deleted my save. They fucking knew.
You should have reviewed it. This is on you.
I fucking will now. Because I clicked out of it, and I'm like... I was going to leave a positive review, because I've been enjoying the game, and I'm like... Oh my God, it opened up my browser, wants me to sign in. I'm like, nah, it's too much effort.
You reminded me of another story where you just wished it worked. But this is with an old game of putting a CD into an old PC that we had just so I could load up Age of Empires, and then had something I've never seen happen before. Big bang goes off. Open up the CD drive. There's my Age of Empires disc in pieces.
Oh my God.
Blew up in the machine.
How did it blow up in the side of the computer?
And that is literally like... That was one of the OGs as well. That was one of the OG CDs. And I'm like, oh.
You know, it's a PC experience when you have to go into the files just to get the game working.
Yeah, can you imagine if I was like a console gamer in the 2000s, I could just put a fucking disc in and play the goddamn game?
There is something easy and chill with console gaming that PC gaming doesn't reach. Same height.
I remember when I tried to get what was it called? Beyond Good and Evil working on my PC because my friend gifted it to me. I haven't like finished it or anything yet. So the game kept on loading up in French for some reason. I don't know why it kept on loading up in French. It was also on the lowest quality at the same time.
Dude, they just looked at you and they were like, that guy wants to play this in French on like 144p.
I had to essentially go into like the system files, delete something, reset the computer, and then the like system files for the game started working. I don't know why that was. I had to actually legit do that because the game kept on loading in French on the lowest quality. PC gaming, everyone.
Yeah, PC gaming sucks by
Actually,
Nintendo Switch.
you made me remember. You remember those times when you were playing a game for the first time and you accidentally pressed the wrong language button, and then you'd have to go and decipher what it was to try and get it back to English.
Also,
Because there's no way to reset it in the game without going through the settings.
Also, this saga doesn't end. Keep in mind that Beyond Good and Evil is an old, like, PS2 game. When I chucked the settings up, the game chugged for some fucking reason. I got like stuttering issues. The graphics went haywire. I had to put it on like mid graphics or some shit. I don't know why. I was like flabbergasted. Yeah, that's PC gaming, everyone.
So I think what we've gotten from this episode is that we really just want games to just work.
Yeah, please make them work.
Just please make them work, preserve them, protect them. Maybe don't try and buy all of them.
Yeah, don't follow that song with Tom Howard, It Just Works. No, it doesn't.
It does when he keeps re-releasing it. There's no danger in you not being able to play that game. I can tell you that for
Skyrim is
sure.
probably going to be super preserved.
Jack, he's been saying that game works for ages and he calls it a feature.
It does work, Anf. You can play it. It's not bug-free, but it's playable. There's a difference.
Is it playable?
Yes.
Would you give Skyrim a playable rating?
Yes. The bugs are a feature. I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good place to end.
It's been a Safe Farm podcast. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Alright, signing off.
Signing off.
Signing off.
Signing
That was
off.
anticlimactic.
Yeah.
End recording.